Alright, here we go. This is week 14, and I don't know what week we're on, 5 or 6 of stay-at-home nonsense. This week is the last week we're going to do a video lecture, and so just understand this is the last week of the semester that we're actually doing stuff. The discussion for this week, the assignment for this week are going to be due on Sunday like normal, but we do get an extra day. We have Monday, May 11th to finish the semester. Monday, May 11th, you'll have to exam number 5 and your project. Now, there's an email out there about both exam number 5 and the project. Make sure you look for that. It's on the D2L internal messaging, and it'll give you some instructions on both of those. But don't forget that we do have a discussion post for week 14, and we have an assignment for week 14. So you'll need to get all those done. The best way to prepare, besides watching this video lecture, is to also look at the D2L content section, because there is definitely a PowerPoint that accompanies this chapter in that section. So make sure you go out and get that and review the material there, review the material in your book. This last chapter in the book is devoted to about 4 different areas that are newer crime considerations. They call them crimes for the new millennium. Basically, they are crimes that are considered terrorism, crimes that are cyber crimes, crimes that are financial crimes. I think under the financial they might also include some transnational crime, and then green crime. That's a lot to cover in one chapter. So, to do it justice by going through each of those, obviously we wouldn't be able to get it done a lot. And we're not going to be able to do it in one 10 to 20 minute video lecture. Understand, though, that a lot of these new crime types, it's not because they're actually new crimes. It's just that because there's a new focus in today's society for these crimes. Obviously, terrorism has been around forever. And the book likes to use the FBI definition as terrorism. But what I want to give you is a more usable way to think about terrorism and crimes related to terrorism. The only difference is terrorism and crimes related to terrorism is crimes done for a cause. And what I mean by a cause is an organized cause, whether it be religion, whether it be eco-terrorism, whether it be animal rights terrorism, whether it be anti-police terrorism, anti-government terrorism. All of those are causes that people then go out and do a crime for. Obviously, we know all about the religious terrorism. The majority of religious terrorism, over 90%, is done in the name of Islam. People don't like to talk that way because then they go, well, you're bashing all of Islam and all Muslims. No, you're not. You're stating a fact. The majority of terrorism done for the cause of a religious cause are done for Islam. That's just a fact. You can go run the numbers. You can go look at the causes and see that that's the truth. Now, people always love to jump on and go, well, the Crusades back in the, 5th century were done under the name of Christianity. Okay, last time I checked, we're not living in the 5th century. We're living in the 21st century. And my phrase, my comment is true. The majority of the religious terrorism done now is done in the name of Islam. Other causes. You have eco causes. You have people doing crimes in the name of, liberating the environment. And, you got these activists that are hot to trot on anti-fossil fuels and anti-coal and these other things that are all basis of crimes based on those causes and beliefs in the environment. One of the things I would caution you, understand that what you were taught in junior high and high school about global warming and climate change is baloney. Man-made climate change has been proven time and time again to be a false thing. Does the climate change? Every day throughout the history of the world. Is it based on you driving your car or heating your home or any other one of those things that they tried to contribute it to in your junior high science class? No, it is not. Go, throughout this class, I've told you every time that we talk about an issue, go do the research. Don't base your opinion on what some science teacher in 7th grade told you was true. Go find out for yourself. Go look at the research. Go find out what's really out there, what they're really talking about. Carbon is not the evil giant that everyone tries to make it out if you're going to be a global warming activist. Carbon is not the bad guy. Carbon is the building block of society. One of the questions I always ask people who want to make carbon the evil giant, there are lots of people out there now saying they have ways to remove every bit of carbon out of the atmosphere. Turn it into useful things. If it was truly the evil giant, why aren't we funding those technologies to remove carbon from the atmosphere? Because people know that's not the evil giant. They love to say it is, but when you give them a practical solution about removing it, then it falls apart and they don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay? All I'm telling you is don't fall for it. Be open to look at it. But back to the point, there are terrorists that's their cause, the environment. There's terrorists that are based on the animal rights stuff. That's their cause. There are terrorists that are anti-government. Okay? Antifa is definitely an anti-government terrorism. Most of what people think are white supremacy terrorism isn't about race, but it's more about anti-government. They exist. The Aryan Nation, otherwise known as the Christian Identity Church, is about taking over the government and remodeling it in their own fashion. That's an anti-government terrorism, not a race terrorism. There's terrorism for anti-police. Black Lives Matters is an anti-police terrorism. There's other groups that have that same cause as their cause. That's what terrorism is. Crime for a cause. If you can find out the cause, you can usually find out why they did what they did. When we talk green crime, the book is talking mainly about overfishing, over logging, and then pollution-based crimes. If you get into the causes, now you're probably talking eco-terrorism. But there are definitely crimes related to the environment. Anytime you get dumping of hazardous materials and hazardous waste, that falls under the green crimes. Man, you could do 2 chapters on the white-collar crimes, the Ponzi schemes, okay, which is a scheme put together to defraud people. You get people interested in your securities or your investment idea. We had some locally here in Fort Collins that were done for precious metals. The place was called Western Monetary. And what they would do is they'd rope you in saying you're going to make this great return. They pay you money paying off the investment. You immediately turn around and reinvest. And you tell your friends. From now on it becomes a Ponzi scheme because they pay the people in front of them with the new investment money from the people behind them. And you keep doing that, and you build this pyramid until you finally get to a point where you say the investment the bottom fell out of the market, and there's no more money, everybody loses. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's a lot of what based these financial crimes on. Huge money is lost by people through these financial investment crimes. The transnational stuff they're talking about, they're really talking about international crime that affects us in America. Drug cartels bringing their products to be sold to America, human trafficking being done to come into America. Understand the majority of human trafficking in America is done by, not for sex trafficking, but it's done for cheap labor. We bring you in to do farms, to do corporate farms. We bring you in to sweatshops to build items or clothing or whatever. So that's kind of covered in this chapter. I mean, that is such a brief gloss over of all of those things. We could go, like I say, literally into an hour minimum on each one of those kind of things. But obviously that's not what we're set up for with our current situation. The area I'll finish with is just this. Any one of these new crimes for the new millenniums, be careful on the political component that goes into these crimes. These things have literally been around since the beginning of time, except for the cyber stuff, because obviously the computers haven't been around. And you know more probably about the cyber stuff than I do, in reference to how they're going to phish you and how they're going to do other kinds of identity theft and fraud and things through the internet. Be careful on why it becomes important now. Why wasn't it important 10 years ago? Who's making it a big deal now? Because if you're going to investigate this as a crime, you better know why and what you're doing it for. Groups love to make these new millennial crimes the crime du jour, the crime of the day, based on something they've got going on. just caution you to do the research, to understand why, and to take what they're giving you with a grain of salt. Enjoy. I'll do one end of semester video for you, but I enjoyed having you in class. See ya.